Well, that's not cool. The Cleveland Browns, what the hell? Sometimes some of these teams get hot at the right moment, and that's what Cleveland's doing now to address the whole narrative that the Jets should have signed Joe Flacco off the street. I don't know if any of you remember what Joe Flacco looked like with the Jets last year. They don't look good. They don't look good. They don't look like he wanted to be there, and you can't really blame him because the offensive line is atrocious. I've seen a lot of takes where people are saying Flacco, if Flacco was on the Jets right now, they'd be in the playoffs. No. If Flacco is on the Jets right now, we'd more likely be having a discussion about the Joe Flacco memorial video that they posted, because he would have gotten killed behind the offensive line than we would a Jets playoff discussion, honestly. And also, Kevin Stefanski is far and away a better coach than Nathaniel Hackett calling plays. He's just Nathaniel Hackett is a joke. This whole coaching staff is a joke, honestly. Robert Saleh, he's a player's coach, man. I'm not saying you have to go out there and be Bill Parcells or Bill Belichick in terms of discipline, but he's just too soft, too friendly with the players. How often does he discipline anyone? It rarely ever happens. And again, you don't have to be extreme with it, but there should be. It's like being a parent, right? I'm not a parent, but I had parents, so I can speak to this, I guess. But I know as a kid, with my dad, I could not F around. He was fair, but if I knew what my limit was, right? Same thing with my mom, knew what my limit was. And I don't think these players have a limit. I think they think they can do and say whatever they want. They're all over Twitter. You wouldn't see a player in New England telling an opposing team's fans to go F themselves. You wouldn't see that. That player probably would not. If that happened, that player would probably be cut. So anyway, back to the Flacco thing. It wouldn't have made a difference. It wouldn't have made a difference. I do, when Rodgers went down, I do wish that they had a capable quarterback. But looking at the season in hindsight, I'm going to Monday morning quarterback here a little bit. The offensive line is bad. Now, earlier in the season, they didn't play so poorly. And I think the defense is exhausted because of the lack of good quarterback play. I mean, they've been on the field constantly. That's got to be, and mentally, that's got to wear on you, knowing you don't really have faith in the offense. I do think the quarterback situation was badly mishandled by Joe Douglas. So, but whatever. Woody Johnson's bringing everybody back next year. So what'll happen if Rodgers plays? Do they think Rodgers is the piece that's just going to solve everything? They would have won more games with Rodgers, sure, but if that offensive line played like it did at certain points this year, I believe he probably would have gotten hurt. He's not as mobile as he used to be. So that's something that needs to be fixed. And the good thing is this draft is offensive tackle heavy. And they do have some versatility on the offensive line. you can plug AVT at left tackle if you wanted to. It's not ideal, but if you wanted to, you could. Plug him at right tackle, left tackle. You have Tippmann, who can play center or guard. If they draft any defensive players, it's going to piss me off. Because, look, I don't, as far as the Will McDonald pick goes, do I think Will McDonald can be a great player? Good player, great player? Yeah. But how long is it going to take? You made this Rodgers move to win now, not to draft guys that you think are going to blossom 3 years from now. So that move didn't make much sense to me. I wanted JSN. Anybody who watches my live streams knows that. Wanted JSN. I've seen a couple of takes on Twitter where people said, "Oh, if we would have drafted JSN, you'd be looking at a guy who maybe had 500 yards this season, wouldn't have really helped the team win." Yeah, you're right, but JSN I think he's a stud. I think he's going to be a stud. You wouldn't be looking to bring in another receiver right now. Maybe you would if the opportunity presented itself, but it wouldn't be a drastic need. Having Allen Lazard as the wide receiver too is that's not a great situation, even with Rodgers. I had some thoughts about this Russell Wilson situation as I had some time to think about it. I'm such a wordsmith, ain't I? Ain't I? The thing that I think is interesting, though, is he's had, not just this season, to look at Russ, because we could say, well, he didn't even let him finish the season out, moved off him, and his numbers weren't bad. And it's just interesting how in the beginning of the year he was blaming Nathaniel Hackett for the team floundering. Now, again, Nathaniel Hackett is not a good offensive play caller. We know that. But part of it was Russ. I think we have enough data now to support that argument. Part of it was Russ. Maybe a big part of it was Russ. I think this is a guy who needs to get outside the pocket to see things downfield. I don't think he has the athleticism anymore to do what he did in Seattle, where he can roll out. And again, look, Seattle had coaching matters, right? Seattle had a defensive head coach who put together some pretty stout defenses. You can say what you want about Pete Carroll, but I think he drafts well. Have had good running games. So Russ flourished as a younger quarterback, a more mobile quarterback in that situation. But is he a guy that can make a team better? Again, this is case-by-case analysis. What are the teams that might possibly be interested in Russ? Pittsburgh, perhaps, and I think he could do well in Pittsburgh. Because, again, you have a defensive-minded head coach, some weapons on the offense, but Mike Tomlin focuses on defense and the running game. That's where we saw Russ flourish most throughout his career in a situation like that. So I think Pittsburgh would be better with Russ. He's far and away better than what they currently have on the roster. I'm saying far and away better than what they currently have on the roster. Would that yield them more than 9 wins? I don't know that we can say that for certain. I think we can say maybe. Let me move this a little bit. There we go. What's another team? People are saying Tennessee. I don't see that happening in Tennessee. I think Tennessee is going to give Will Levis another year, and I think they should. I know not a lot of people are sold on Will Levis, but I like what I see from Will Levis. Who else? I've heard Minnesota be thrown around, but are you really going to go from Kirk Cousins to Russell Wilson? I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback. If you're not going to go with Kirk Cousins, you might as well just draft a quarterback or something. I don't know. Maybe Justin Fields, but that's not going to happen. It's in division. And speaking of Justin Fields, I think Justin Fields on the Giants would absolutely smash, but the chances of that happening are probably slim. I would love to see it, though. I think Brian Dable's a phenomenal coach. The Giants would the Giants go after Russell Wilson? I don't think so. They paid Daniel Jones a bunch of money. You're going to pay Russell Wilson a bunch of money, and we don't even, Russell Wilson might just be done. We don't know. But now another situation is Cleveland. Let's say Joe Flacco takes Cleveland to the AFC Championship game. Let's say Joe Flacco takes them to the Super Bowl. Say he wins the Super Bowl, which I think is possible because you have a team that's really hot right now. I think Kevin Stefanski is a great head coach. Weapons, nice roster, stout defense. They're doing this without Nick Chubb, by the way, which is insane. But what do you do with Deshaun Watson? Joe Flacco gets you to, or wins a Super Bowl? Does Deshaun Watson all of a sudden become available again? Would any team? I mean, do you just cut your losses if you're Cleveland at that point and just say, let's get this guy off the roster, move forward with Joe Flacco for another year, maybe two? Joe Flacco's what, 38? I mean, he could probably play until he's 40. If you're protecting him like that, I mean, why not? Why not go another 2 years with him? He's shown he can play. So, yeah, this offseason is going to be pretty remarkable. Pretty remarkable for everyone except the Jets, I think. I think every other team in the NFL is going to have a good offseason except the Jets. I don't mean that. I don't mean that. But, you know, that's, again, we talk about the NFL and why the NFL is king. I almost dropped the phone. The phone almost fell. Why the NFL is king? Well, it's because of situations like this, where we look at teams like Arizona. Arizona doesn't look bad. You have Kyler Murray. Bring in Marvin Harrison Jr. You have Michael Wilson there. Arizona could be a team that surprises us. They surprised us this year. They could be a team that surprises us again next year. Look at New England. New England is defensively coached well. I don't think they have the talent on offense to do anything. But look, I mean, Bailey Zappi has popped here and there. Now, is he the long-term answer? No. But if you can bring in a Drake May or a Caleb Williams, then you might have the long-term answer there. And then all of a sudden we could be looking at New England as a 10-win team again. This is why you don't move off of Bill Belichick, right? And again, why you don't move off of Mike Tomlin. If you brought Russell Wilson into Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin there, all of a sudden you're looking at the Steelers like, I mean, because we're looking at the Steelers right now, and then they're not a team that you can easily push over. But you bring a quarterback like Russell Wilson, who, again, is a flawed quarterback, but he's better than what they have. You have more confidence with him on the field, perhaps. I would if I was a Steelers fan. I have to touch base with Steelers Nation to see if they share my sentiment there. Father Dismas from the chat, the resident Steelers fan in the Interdimensional Demon Federation live chat. I have to check in with him. I have to check in with Money Mike Madness, who is the co-resident Steelers fan. Carolina sucks to be a Carolina fan right now. Staring the number 1 overall pick in the face. Looking at a guy in C.J. Stroud that you could have had. And you can't, I mean, look. We can't. This could have went, somebody put out this tweet, I don't remember who it was, but this could have went so badly for the Bears. The Bears could have had C.J. Stroud, and they have Justin Fields, who we don't really know if he's good or not. I think Justin Fields is fine. I think he can be good. But we don't know. I just said it a second ago with a guy like Brian Dable. I think he could get the most out of him. I'm like rambling here, and I kind of lose my train of thought. But yeah, I don't know, man. This offseason is going to be crazy. As far as this week's games go, I think, and I hate to say this, I have a feeling Miami is going to beat Baltimore. I just have that feeling. It just feels like a game. It feels like that's what's been happening in the NFL. You think you know a team, and then all of a sudden they come out and they show you something else. As far as Detroit and Dallas, I like Detroit. I think Detroit, you can run on Dallas. I think Detroit's a better late game team. I said it at the beginning of the year, man. Dallas fans came at me. I don't think this is a well-coached team. And I think, Dak will shine from time to time, but I don't think Dak is a great quarterback. Not that Jared Goff is, but whatever. I don't know. I'm going to be pulling up to my destination in a few minutes here, so I will touch base with you guys again soon. So I'm about to watch episode 9, season 2 of What If. Thought the season started out pretty strong. I think it kind of tailed off from there. I really like the first 2 episodes. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this last one. I hated the last episode, the episode from the 1600s. I just thought it was stupid. I wasn't a fan of it. But I don't know. We'll see how it is. I'll let you guys know. So this is parrot life when you're about to watch something and she starts screaming. And that makes you look like a fool because the second you start recording, she stops screaming. So everybody probably thinks I'm crazy right now, but she was screaming and I can't even hear the TV. She's not doing it now. There we go. See? This is what's been happening. Those of you who are familiar with my live streams are very familiar with Lorraine and her antics. This will not stand. Okay, so I decided to read the Joker. It's, oh my God. Okay, she settled down. So I decided to read the Joker celebration of 75 years, and there was something interesting in here that I thought might be worth mentioning. So before 1973, the comics code was very tight. They were very hardcore. They didn't want murders. So it was just very campy. Comic books were very campy. Like you had this type of Batman, like these type of Batman stories, right? Like it's not Batman. It's just like and the Joker had all these crazy vehicles with his face on them. Just some weird stuff going. Like this is real. This is actually a court of law where the Joker is the judge, and she's starting again. What is the problem? You're being ridiculously loud. Do you know that? And you're gonna make everybody watching this hate you. Yeah, no, they're gonna hate you. They're gonna. Don't listen. Don't interrupt. They're gonna hate you because they don't like to hear screaming. So anyway, some of you probably know because of the comics code, they couldn't do things with comics that they're able to do today, like such as murder people. That's why the Joker, that's why there was just this campy. I mean, the Joker had weapons like this. It was like a big Jack-in-the-Box type Joker. So I'm going to read a part from here that kind of explains what went on. In the early 1970s, Batman lost his campy elements entirely and became a creature of the night. With the easing of the comics code rules, new authors were able to make a radical change in the tone of Batman's stories. Reviving elements of the Golden Age, the books were again able to present heinous and imaginative murders. In 1973, the Joker reappeared in Batman, this time as a sardonic killer. The Crown Prince of Crime was more dangerous and unpredictable than ever in tales from Denny O'Neil with Neil Adams and Steve Englehart with Marshall Rogers. It goes on to say that he even had his own title in 1975 and 1976. And then they go on to talk about the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns in 1986, which I was never a big fan. People are going to hate me for this. I was never a big fan of Frank Miller. I was never a big fan of the Dark Knight Returns. I don't know what it is. I don't dislike all dystopian stuff. I do like zombie-related stories. But I feel like a lot of them tend to look the same and just play out the same. So, but anyway, if you've never read, I believe the first story was the Joker's 5-Way Revenge, which is this one. That's the cover. I believe this is the first one where he went back to his roots as like a sadistic killer clown. Great story. If you never read, that's Batman 251. September 1973. If you've never read this, check it out. You can probably get it pretty cheap on eBay as long as it's not graded. Just get a reader's copy or something. It's awesome. Follow that up with the Jokerfish. Jokerfish was Batman Detective Comics 475, and that's the cover right there. Brilliant, brilliant story. Anyway, now I'm going to go watch What If because she settled down. Lorraine finally settled down, so now I have peace in my life once again. Before I do that, I'm going to go through the list of the first 8 episodes. I'm not going to give you any spoilers in case you haven't seen it, but I'll just tell you briefly what I thought of each episode. Episode 1 was What If Nebula joined the Nova Corps? Nova Corps? Is it Corp or Corpse? I don't know. I thought that was an awesome episode. Loved it. Loved everything about it. Think Nebula's a total badass. Episode 2, What If Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes? Probably my favorite story of the series. Number 3, What If Happy Hogan... Oh, hi. Number 3, What If Happy Hogan saved Christmas? I enjoyed it. It was fun. Very campy, a lot of jokes. Sometimes I have a problem with that when we're in a serious situation where it's supposed to be a serious situation. Like I get the need for humor. Sometimes I think with Marvel, they overkill a lot, so it kind of takes away from what's supposed to be a serious situation, takes away from the threat, I guess you can say. A lot of Die Hard references, so I'm always down with that. I thought it was a cool episode. Number 4, what if Iron Man crashed into the Grandmaster? A lot of jokes in this one. Didn't really care for the episode. Number 5, what if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper? This one wasn't so heavy with the jokes, but I wasn't a big fan. I'm not a big fan of the Captain Carter character. I love Captain America as a character, but I never got into the comic. If I'm not like a huge fan of Captain America, I'm not going to be a huge fan of Captain Carter. So I thought this episode was just okay. Episode 6, what if Kaori, I think that's how you say her name, reshaped the world? This is the character that they created. This is supposed to be a football channel, right? This is the character that Marvel created for What If. Pretty cool story. I haven't seen the last episode, so maybe they revisit something with her again. Number 7, what if Hela found the 10 rings? I really enjoyed this episode. I love Hela. I thought it was a really well done episode. Very entertaining. She's funny. Now she is villain funny. For some reason, that always grabs me when a villain is kind of sarcastic. Didn't love the ending, but I thought the episode overall was cool. And then episode 8, what if the Avengers assembled in 1602? Didn't really like anything about this episode, honestly. I thought it was weird. I don't know where they're going with it. Maybe something will happen in episode 9. What if Strange Supreme intervened? I haven't watched it yet, so I'll let you know what I think, but did not like this episode whatsoever. It was very Captain Carter heavy. The Watcher's like talking to her. She can hear him for some reason. It's just strange. So anyway, gonna watch episode 9 now, finally. I'll let you know what I think. Okay, just finished watching the last episode. It was okay. Thought it was pretty cool to see where the whole cohorty thing was going. I thought the finale of season 1 was better. This is Astro, by the way. And it's cold here, so I had to put my hoodie on. It's like 50 degrees, man. Freezing. But anyway, this is like a test vlog, just kind of seeing how this sort of thing will go. I think I'm going to do it on a week-to-week basis. Just talk about some football stuff, other stuff that's going on, maybe give you a little insight into the creative process of some of the videos that I do. I have more NFL high school coming up. Going to do it throughout the playoffs and the Super Bowl and whatnot. But there is other stuff I want to do. I don't want to just do like skits, or although I love doing that, I don't want that to just be like my entirety of content, if that makes sense. It gets a little stale from my perspective. So if I feel like it gets a little stale, I'm assuming you guys might feel like it gets a little stale. So I think the one series with episodes is pretty cool for now. As I said, the more I get into this, the more I will be able to offer more content. Those episodes, man, I don't know if I've told you guys, they take me about 20 hours from writing to filming to editing. It's about 20 hours for just that one episode. And that's about like a 5-minute episode. It takes about that much because, I change the backgrounds. I do a lot of stuff with it. I do want to keep that going, though. I really like that series. I would like to do other series. I like the Football Gods. I will continue to tie that in. I will continue to tie in the quarterback bar at some point. But like I said, right now, it's a little tough to do the live streams, to do episodes, and this isn't my full-time thing yet. It will be at some point. But I just love making content, man. So I'm going to be pushing hard on it this year. And I appreciate all your support. Let me know what you think of the vlog. Let me know what you think of this style, if you want to see more of this stuff. Again, this is like the first venture into it. This sounds probably not great. Video's probably not that great, but it'll improve over time, just like the live streams will continue to improve and everything else will continue to improve. So really love. I will be on Dynasty. I'm going to say that again. Dynasty Trades in 5 on Wednesday, first week of January. I'm going to be a guest on that show, talking about content creation, talking about Dynasty. If you haven't seen Dynasty Trades in 5, check them out. They're on YouTube. I'll link them below. That's it for now, guys. Love you all. Talk to you soon. PFA is not having it.